Good evening, friends. I'm Mr. Narratory, and I'll be your voice tonight as we ease into rest. If these videos help you unwind, take a moment to like and subscribe. It really supports the channel. And I'd love to know, where in the world are you listening from, and what time is it for you right now? Drop it in the comments below. Now, get comfortable. Close your eyes if you'd like, because it's time for tonight's story. I checked in for one night, a conference, just passing through, but the hotel doesn't recognize my checkout. My room resets every morning. The doors don't lead where they should, and every night at exactly 2:06 a.m., someone knocks and says, "Room service for two." The Grand Meridian wasn't on the reservation list. I was supposed to stay at a chain ordinary, cheap, forgettable. But when I pulled off the highway, the road curved unexpectedly. A forest, then lights, and there it was. Marble facade, crimson awnings, gold lettering, Grand Meridian welcome to your last night. I figured it was a glitch, a theme. I was tired, hadn't eaten in 6 hours. The parking lot was empty, except for a bellhop waiting beside the curb. He didn't speak, just nodded, took my bag and walked inside without me. I followed. The lobby was elegant. Impossible, really. Candelabras instead of bulbs. Velvet on the walls. A long counter manned by a woman with white gloves and a headset too modern for the decor. She smiled before I said a word. "Mr. Kane, welcome. Your suite is ready." I hadn't given my name. She slid me a room key. An old brass key, not a card. Room 908. I asked how much it was. She smiled again. "This one's already covered." I didn't argue. The elevator chimed when I approached. The bellhop was inside, still silent, holding my bag like a coffin. We ascended in silence. No music, just a deep hum that vibrated in my teeth. He stopped at the 9th floor, walked to the end of the hall, unlocked the door, and stepped aside. Room 908 was too big. King bed, leather furniture, fresh roses in a vase that I didn't smell, a mini bar that looked untouched. The curtains were drawn, a dinner tray already waiting on the table. I turned to ask the bellhop something. He was gone. No footsteps, no elevator chime. I called the front desk. "No need, Mr. Kane. Everything's been arranged." I asked who had paid. "Your host. Room service will arrive at 2:06 a.m. Please be awake." The line cut. I didn't eat the food. Chicken breast, perfectly plated. 2 forks, 2 napkins. No utensils touched. No wine poured. I opened the minibar. Only water. All the same label. Still, I sat on the bed, tried to watch TV. Only one channel. A looping video of the Grand Meridian logo spinning against black. I tried to call out. No dial tone. No signal. My phone clock was frozen at 2:05 a.m. I blinked, and then the knock came. 3 soft taps. "Room service," a voice said. I didn't answer. Silence. Then, for 2, I looked through the peephole. No one was there. I checked the hallway. Empty. The tray was gone. The forks were used. And my phone now read 6:42 a.m. I went to the front desk right after sunrise. The lobby looked the same as the night before. Same velvet walls. Same impossible chandelier. Same receptionist with the headset and white gloves. She smiled when she saw me. I told her I was checking out. She typed something into a keyboard I couldn't see. Tilted her head. "You don't have a checkout time, Mr. Kane." I said that couldn't be right. I only booked for one night. She shook her head, smiling like a grade school teacher correcting a child. "You haven't checked in yet." I showed her the key. Room 908. She didn't even glance at it. "That room's reserved." I asked for who. She looked down, then said, "Room service will clarify tonight. In the meantime, you are welcome to rest." I left the desk, took the stairs instead of the elevator. Every floor I passed was silent. No maids, no carts, no guests. But the lighting changed with each level. Warmer, yellower, deeper red, the higher I climbed. By the time I reached the 9th floor, the hallway lights were the color of dried blood. My room was open, not unlocked open. I stepped inside. The tray was back. Same plate, same 2 napkins. This time the wine had been poured. 2 glasses. One still full. The other had a smudge. Lipstick, deep red. I checked the mirror in the bathroom. I was alone. I checked the closet, the drawers, the balcony. Nothing. But when I turned back to the room, the wine glass was gone. The tray was gone. My key was gone. I picked up the phone to call the front desk again. It rang before I touched it. I answered. "This is room 905, the voice said. It was my voice. "You left the door open." I hung up, opened my door, looked across the hall. Room 905 was identical to mine. Same brass handle, same crimson trim. I knocked. No answer. I leaned in. I could hear breathing. Not regular. Slow. Deep. Like someone imitating how humans breathe. I backed away, closed my door, locked it, or tried to. The bolt wouldn't slide. I moved the desk in front of it, turned the lights on. They dimmed automatically to 2%. I turned on the TV, still the logo. The loop was longer now. This time it whispered something I couldn't make out. I turned up the volume. It got quieter. Then the knock came again. 6 a.m. On the door. I didn't move. I sat on the bed and waited. 3 taps, then silence. I approached the peephole, looked, saw myself. Standing there. Same clothes, same posture, except his eyes were wrong. Too dark, too wide. No whites. Just a soft red shimmer, like a camera lens. He knocked again, louder this time. I backed away. The voice came through the door. Calm. Room service for 2. Then something heavier hit the door. A thud, followed by a dragging noise. I looked through the peephole again. Nothing. Just an empty hallway. But when I turned around, the tray was back. 2 plates, both scraped clean. The wine glass broken. And something else on the table. A note. typed on hotel letterhead. "Thank you for dining with us, Mr. Kane. Please do not open the door after midnight unless your guest has already arrived." There was something written beneath it, in my handwriting. "Let her in next time." I didn't write that. I tore the note in half, turned to toss it in the trash. There was already another note inside. Same words, same pen, different message. She doesn't like being kept outside. I didn't sleep, just sat in the chair with the lights on. When the sun came up, the tray was gone again. The door was locked again. My key was back on the nightstand, and the clock blinked to 6 a.m. over and over until I unplugged it. I picked up the phone, dialed out, got a different voice this time. A man, calm, familiar. "Housekeeping," he said. "We're already inside." Then the line went dead. I asked to switch rooms the next morning. The woman at the front desk was new. Same gloves, same headset, same smile. She nodded without looking at the screen. "Of course, Mr. Kane. We've already prepared your new suite." I didn't ask how she knew my name. I didn't ask how she knew I was going to ask. I just took the key. Room 714. Different floor. Lower. Dimmer. The elevator paused longer than normal on the way down. Long enough to feel like I'd fallen instead of descended. When the doors opened, the hallway lights were flickering. Not fast. Just slow enough to make it feel like my eyes were glitching. I walked to 714. Put the key in. Turned it. The lock gave a low click like a throat clearing. The room was colder, plainer, no tray, no flowers, no minibar, just a bed, a desk, a floor lamp already turned on, and a mirror. One large mirror above the dresser. I walked to it, looked in. My face looked wrong. Not immediately, not obviously, but it was like the image had a half-second delay. I blinked. The reflection blinked after. I raised my hand. The reflection hesitated, then caught up. I turned to check the door. When I looked back, my reflection didn't move. It was still staring forward, still smiling. I don't remember smiling. I moved again, waved, nothing. The reflection didn't follow. I stepped away, sat on the bed, tried to ignore it, but every time I glanced up, it was still watching me. Same smile, same angle, same posture. It wasn't following anymore. It was studying. I went to the window, opened the curtain. Nothing but fog. No parking lot, no sky, just white. When I turned back to the room, the mirror was dark. Not empty, just darker than it should have been. I walked to the bathroom. There was another mirror above the sink. Smaller, but the same delay. I reached out to touch it. My reflection leaned forward, touched its side first. My hand froze. I stepped back. The reflection kept reaching. Its palm pressed flat against the glass, then slid down, leaving a smear. I wiped the mirror. My hand came back dry, but the glass was wet. I backed out, left the light on, sat in the chair by the door. Still hadn't slept, still hadn't eaten. The phone rang. I let it go. Then it rang again. I picked it up, a child's voice this time. "Why'd you change rooms?" I didn't answer. "She still knows where you are?" Click. I threw the phone across the room. It didn't break, just rang again 5 minutes later. I unplugged it. At 6 a.m., I heard the knock, not at the door. This time it came from the mirror. 3 soft taps. I turned slowly. The mirror was darker now, like it was backlit. My reflection was there again, smiling wider. Its eyes were completely black. It lifted a hand, tapped the glass once. A crack spread across it, not on the surface, inside. Then a voice, my voice from inside the mirror. "You can't leave before your guest checks in." I stumbled back, hit the wall. The light flickered off. The air turned cold. I reached for the door. It wouldn't open. The knob turned, but the room didn't release me. The reflection stepped forward again, 2 steps, then raised its hands, palms to the glass, and whispered, "Let me stay this time." Then everything went black. When I woke up, the mirror was covered in condensation, fingerprints all over it, dozens of them from the inside, and carved into the center. "Stay still. Stay seen. Stay in." My face in the reflection looked fine again, but I knew the difference now. The smile didn't reach the eye, and when I blinked, he didn't. I left room 714 just after sunrise. I didn't sleep. I didn't shower. The mirror was too quiet, the air too still. I stuffed my things into my bag and walked the halls until I reached the 9th floor again. My old room, 908. The hallway lights were brighter now. The walls looked cleaner, fresh flowers in the sconce vases. But the second I stepped onto the carpet, the air shifted. Like walking into someone else's breath, room 908 had a new nameplate. Not mine. Someone else had checked in. I knocked once. The door opened immediately. A man, mid-30s, confused. He looked like I had 2 days ago, exhausted, distracted. I asked him how long he'd been there. He said he just checked in last night. I asked if anything strange had happened. He laughed nervously, said the minibar didn't work and the TV had no channels. I asked if he heard a knock around 2 in the morning. He paused, said yes. Asked how I knew. I told him to leave. Now that the hotel didn't let you go if you stayed past 2 nights, that they watched you through the mirrors, that the knock wasn't room service, that it was something worse. His face changed, like the light had shifted behind his eyes, and in a perfectly calm voice he said, "She's already in the room." He closed the door, locked it. I knocked again, nothing. I tried the handle, locked. I stepped back, looked through the peephole. The lights inside were off, but someone was standing behind the man. Not a shadow, not a guest, a tall woman with no eyes, just white sockets, wearing the hotel uniform. Her mouth didn't move, but I could hear her say, "You weren't supposed to speak to him." The door vibrated once, then went silent. I ran to the front desk, asked them to do a welfare check. The receptionist looked confused. "There's no guest in 908 right now, Mr. Kane." I asked if they were sure. She typed something I couldn't see, smiled wider. "That room has been vacant since your check-in." I backed away, stepped into the lobby, looked around. Every staff member turned at the same time, stared at me, smiling, the same smile, the kind that doesn't blink. I ran for the elevator. It didn't come. I took the stairs up not down. Back to 908. The hallway was dark again. The door was open. The room was empty. Nothing left, except a tray, 2 plates, 1 fork, a note on the bed, in handwriting that wasn't mine. If you warn them again, you take their place. I checked the mirror. My reflection was gone. The glass showed the room behind me, but not me. I waved, nothing. Then something new appeared in the reflection. A figure, sitting on the bed, wearing my clothes, looking straight at the mirror. I turned. No one there, but the bed was warm. I grabbed my bag, left the room, went down to the lobby again, asked for a manager. They said no manager was on duty. I asked for security footage. They said their systems had been down since 2003. I asked when the hotel was built. The receptionist tilted her head. We've always been here. I turned to leave. The front door wouldn't open. The handle turned. The glass was clear. But the other side was fogged like a cold breath had covered it. I stepped back. The phone behind the desk rang. No one answered it. It just rang, non-stop, until I picked it up. A voice I didn't recognize. You opened the door for her. You should have kept it closed. She doesn't want you to leave anymore. I slammed the phone down. The front door opened, just a crack, enough to see daylight. I ran through it, didn't stop. Not until I reached the road, not until the hotel vanished behind the fog. When I looked back, the parking lot was empty. No building, just trees. I got in the car, started the engine, looked in the mirror. My reflection was there, but it blinked before I did. I drove for 6 hours. No music, no talking, just the engine and the sound of my own teeth grinding. I kept checking the rear view, but the road behind me never changed. Flat, empty, no Grand Meridian, no fog, just pine trees and open sky. I stopped at a diner around dusk, needed to eat, needed to see other people. I ordered coffee and a sandwich. The waitress brought it without asking what I wanted. You always get the same thing, Mr. Kane. I asked if we'd met. She shook her head, smiled. I've just seen you before. I asked where. She nodded toward the wall. A corkboard covered in faded photos. Guests, travelers. Some Polaroids, some newer prints. Near the center there I was, sitting in a booth I'd never been in, wearing the same clothes. But the version of me in the photo was smiling, and someone was sitting across from me. A woman, pale hands, crimson nails, her face turned just out of frame. I stood, rushed to the bathroom, locked the door, splashed water on my face, looked in the mirror, and behind me room 908, clear as day. Same drapes, same tray. The mirror didn't reflect the bathroom. It reflected the hotel. I blinked. My own reflection didn't. It leaned forward, smiled, and whispered in my voice, "You checked out, but you never left." I turned. The stall door behind me creaked open. No one inside. I ran out, back through the diner. Didn't pay. Didn't speak. Just ran. Back to the car. On the road again. I drove until my gas light came on. Pulled off the freeway. Found a station. As I filled the tank, I looked at the convenience store windows. My reflection wasn't alone. That woman. Behind me again, head tilted, smiling like she was about to kiss the back of my neck. I turned fast. No one there. I walked into the store, grabbed a drink. The clerk barely looked up, then said, "You forgot your key." He held it out. Brass heavy. Room 908. I told him I didn't know what that was. He didn't answer. Just placed it on the counter. I left it there. Drove without a plan. Ended up at a cheap motel with flickering signage and a night clerk half asleep behind the glass. I asked for a room. He handed me a key. Plastic this time, but the number on it was 908. I asked if that room was all they had. He said it was the only room they ever had. I took it, just to sleep, just to reset. The room was nothing like the Meridian. Ugly carpet, buzzing light, cigarette burns on the tub. I avoided the mirror. I put my phone in the drawer. Face down at 2:06 a.m., I woke up without knowing why. The room was dark, but my phone screen was on, recording. A voice came through the speaker. "Tell her you're sorry." She knocked and knocked. You never let her in. I picked it up. The camera app was running. It was filming the foot of the bed. And in the corner of the frame, someone was standing. I turned on the light. Nothing there. But when I checked the footage, the figure was still visible. Pale arms. That same smile. Not moving. Not blinking. Just waiting. I deleted the video. Turned the phone off. Put it under a pillow. Went to the bathroom. Looked in the mirror. The mirror looked normal, but it was colder. Like something on the other side had been watching all night. Fog started to creep across the surface, and slowly, word by word, something wrote itself across the glass. You are still a guest. You never canceled. I wiped it away. My hand came back wet and warm. The fog was gone, but the message was carved into the glass now, backwards, so I'd read it every time I looked. I slept with the lights on. Woke up to find my bag packed, sitting by the door. A room service tray beside it. 2 plates. One empty, one full. The note beside it simply said, "Breakfast included. For 2. I didn't book the next hotel. Didn't even choose it." I drove until my vision blurred and let the GPS pull me toward whatever was closest. The motel had no name, just a glowing red vacancy sign and a smiling clerk who handed me a key without asking anything. "Mr. Kane," he said, "welcome back." I didn't correct him. I didn't ask. I was too tired. The key was brass. Room 814, not 908. A new number. That gave me hope. I walked down the hallway. The lights buzzed. Walls beige and peeling. A hum beneath my feet that felt too rhythmic to be plumbing. I opened the door. It was my room. The same layout. Same furniture. Same bedspread pattern. Only the number had changed. There was a tray on the table, still steaming. 2 forks. One of them used. The smell made my stomach twist. Not from hunger, from memory. Something metallic beneath the meat, like warm coins or old blood. I threw the tray into the hallway, closed the door, locked it, pushed the dresser in front. Didn't bother checking the mirrors. I knew what I'd see. The hum beneath my feet grew louder, like something moving below the room, pacing, waiting. I sat on the bed and tried to sleep, but the walls creaked. Once, twice, like they were expanding. I opened my eyes to find the door gone, not closed. Gone. No handle, no frame, just more wallpaper where the exit used to be. I stood, backed into the bathroom. It was larger than I remembered, a clawfoot tub that hadn't been there before, marble floor instead of linoleum, a chandelier swaying without wind. I looked into the mirror. My reflection was sitting on the bed, still, breathing, watching me. I wasn't in the glass. He was. I opened the medicine cabinet. There was a folded towel inside. Underneath it, a room key, brass, 908, and a note, typed, "One upgrade available, breakfast included, non-refundable." When I closed the cabinet, the reflection was standing behind me, not moving. Its smile didn't match my face. I turned. Nothing there. I rushed out. Where the door had been, there was now a hallway, too narrow, too dim, lined with sconces that flickered like candles. I followed it. It bent left, then right, then down a small staircase. At the bottom, another hallway, longer, identical rooms on either side. Room 908 stood at the end. I didn't walk toward it. It pulled me. With every step, the carpet changed, got thicker, redder, began to muffle sound. My shoes vanished into it. I reached the door, knocked. No answer. The tray outside was full. Steam rose from the lid. 2 forks. No napkins. I opened the door. The room inside was dark. Not unlit, just dark. Something sat in the far chair, legs crossed. Still, I spoke, asked who was there. The shape stood, walked toward me. The lights buzzed once, and for a second, I saw her. The woman, white dress, no eyes, red mouth, the one from the mirror. She smiled, spoke with a voice like my own. "You brought the room with you. You didn't leave it behind. Now you're part of the amenity." I turned to run. The hallway was gone. Only the room. Only the tray. Only the sound of the TV turning on by itself. It played the Grand Meridian logo, spinning slowly, and behind it, a whisper. "Housekeeping will begin shortly. Please, make your guest feel at home." I left the room without taking anything. Not the key, not the bag, not the name. I walked down a hallway that shouldn't have existed, and through a door that didn't look like an exit. When I stepped out, I was in a grocery store parking lot. Daylight, music playing from a loudspeaker, people shopping. I stood there barefoot in yesterday's clothes, and no one looked twice. I walked inside, grabbed water, protein bars, a burner phone, paid in cash. At the register, the clerk looked up and smiled. "Your room's ready, Mr. Kane." I froze, said nothing. He nodded toward a tray behind the counter. 2 forks, 2 mints, folded napkin. I left without taking the change. 3 towns over, I stopped for gas, used the restroom. Someone had scrawled something on the mirror in soap. Room 908 says hello. I checked the stalls. Empty. The lights buzzed as I left. That night, I checked into a roadside motel under a fake name. Paid cash. Told them I didn't want housekeeping. The clerk said nothing, just handed me the key. Room 908. I asked for another. He shrugged. They're all 908. You just think the number changes. I left. Slept in the car. Woke up to a knock on the window. A kid, maybe 9, staring at me through the glass. When I rolled it down, she leaned in and whispered, "She doesn't like when you check in without her." I started the car, drove until the fuel light came on, parked behind a diner at dawn. The cook came outside for a smoke. He looked at me once, then asked, "What's it like being on the guest list?" I told him I wasn't, that I never wanted to be. He nodded. Nobody wants to be, but she only comes to the quiet ones. You look like the type who'd leave the other chair empty. I didn't ask how he knew that. I just left. Rest stop. Middle of nowhere. Used the bathroom. When I came out, there was a man waiting by the sinks. Suit. Shaved head. Smiling too wide. He held out a folded piece of paper. Housekeeping asked me to deliver this. I didn't take it. He set it on the sink. Walked away. I opened it. Typed on the Grand Meridian's stationery. You left the door unlocked. She got out. My hands started shaking. I turned to the mirror. My reflection wasn't there. But the chair behind me, there was someone in it, facing away. Hair too long, neck too bent, like it had never held a head right. I turned. Nothing. But when I looked back, the reflection smiled. I stayed off the roads for a while, camped in places without power, without walls. But even the wind started to change. It whispered through the trees, said things only I should know. 2 guests, 1 bed. She remembers. I stopped writing, stopped calling anyone. Didn't matter. I was already on every guest list. I walked into a bookstore to use the restroom. There was a book on the featured table. Welcome to the Grand Meridian, a travel memoir. Author, Jason Kane. I never wrote that. I flipped to the dedication. To her, thanks for waiting. I tried to delete myself. Every record, every trace. I ditched the phone, burned my ID, smashed every card, every screen. I wrote a fake name in every motel ledger. Avoided numbers entirely. No room keys, no check-ins. Just roadside ditches and gas station stalls. Still, she found me. I was camped outside an abandoned church when the ground beneath my tent began to hum. Not like machinery, more like breath. I unzipped the flap and stepped into a room. Not the woods, not the church. A room. Carpet red. Walls velvet. Tray on the table. Room 908. But this time, it was upside down. Ceiling where the floor should be. Furniture hanging. Chandelier swaying just above my head. I turned. The door was gone. There was only a mirror. And in it, I wasn't standing. I was sitting in the chair, smiling, fork in hand, eyes wet like I'd just finished crying. "She's almost done with the other guests," the reflection said. "You'll be her last. Then she can close the book." I threw the chair at the mirror. Glass shattered. But behind it was another room. Same layout. This time dark and filled with tapes. Cassette tapes, labeled with room, numbers, and names. I found mine. J. Kane, 908. Repeat guest. I crushed it beneath my boot. The lights flickered. The floor trembled. And from the speaker, above the door, I heard her voice. "You broke the rules. You brought your silence into my dining room. Now let's eat." I fell, not metaphorically, literally. The room dropped like an elevator with no floor. Then I was back in the tent, mouth full of dirt, rain pouring like the sky had cracked. No dream, no metaphor. I'd brought the meridian with me. It followed now, not just in reflections, but in sound. The static on the radio, the hum behind a stranger's cough, the elevator chime at a store with no second floor. All of it whispered the same thing. "We're still expecting you." I tried to burn everything. The last of my clothes, the keys, even the Grand Meridian logo I found stamped on the inside of my boot. Nothing stayed burned. Everything I destroyed reappeared by morning, folded, pressed, ready for wear. The hotel wanted me clean, wanted me proper, ready for dinner. I wandered for days, then weeks, until I found myself at a rest stop I didn't recognize. Deserted, dead silent. Inside the bathroom was a single message carved into the mirror. "We saved your seat." The stall door creaked open behind me. Empty, except for a folded napkin, crimson lipstick pressed into the corner. Two names written in script. Jason Kane, roommate, guest, pending. And under that, checkout, available after dessert. I fell to my knees, laughed, screamed. No one heard. No one ever hears you after the second knock, because it always goes the same. First, knock, an offer. Second, a warning. Third means she's already inside. It started with the key. I woke up in a bus station, hand in my pocket, fingers wrapped around brass. No one had put it there, but it was warm, heavy. Room 908. I dropped it, walked away, didn't look back. 10 miles down the road, I saw a sign. Grand Meridian, exit 19. No arrows, no lights, just that, like it had always been there. I told myself not to go, told myself it was a trap, but my feet were already turning. I didn't drive, didn't walk. I just moved. The fog came fast, swallowed the trees. The sky went pink, then red, then black. Then I was inside. In the lobby, same velvet walls, same chandeliers, same receptionist. She didn't say my name this time, just handed me the key and whispered, "She's already seated." The elevator doors opened before I got close. Inside silence. No hum, just a pressure behind my eyes, like altitude or grief. 9th floor. Lights flickering. Carpet brighter than I remembered. Smelled like roses left too long in a sealed box. Room 908 was open. Inside, a table, a tray, 2 plates, one covered, one half eaten. She was seated already. White dress, face still turned away, hands folded. She didn't speak. I sat down. The fork was already in my hand. The food steamed like it had just arrived. Chicken, wine, a mint folded inside the napkin. I lifted the fork, paused. She turned and smiled. No eyes, no teeth, just an absence where a person should be. You never left the room, she said. You just kept closing your eyes. The walls began to change, pulsing, breathing, as if they were growing from the inside out. The floor shifted, not shaking, moving, like the room was being pulled backward. The TV turned on. Footage of me. Every version. Running, screaming, sleeping in rest stops, crying in gas station bathrooms. All of it looped. The logo played over top. Welcome to the Grand Meridian. Every room is your room. She lifted her glass, toasted me. You were the perfect guest. Always quiet, always alone. You set the table without even knowing it. The mirror across the room cracked. I stood. The walls closed in. The lights dimmed. There's only one way to leave, she said. Finish the meal. The food pulsed. Still warm. Still bleeding. I sat again, picked up the fork, closed my eyes, and took the first bite. The first bite didn't taste like food. It tasted like memory, old air, grief soaked in wine. I chewed anyway, because she was watching, because the room wouldn't stop pulsing until I did. Across from me, she smiled, the kind of smile mirrors don't reflect. No joy, just completion. Good, she said. Now you're part of it. The lights dimmed. The tablecloth faded to black. The tray disappeared. And I was standing in the hallway, holding a brass key. But it didn't say 908. It said staff. I tried to throw it away. My hand wouldn't open. The hallway stretched. Carpet peeled beneath my feet, like skin from wallpaper. Room numbers melted into one another. All the doors were open. Empty room. Half-made beds. Trays with used plates. I walked, or something walked for me. Each step echoed twice. Once forward, once backward. I passed a mirror. I didn't see myself. I saw the front desk, and me behind it, smiling, wearing gloves, saying a name I didn't recognize. Welcome. We've been expecting you. I woke in the lobby. Empty. No guests. No staff. The chandelier pulsed like a heartbeat. The front desk phone rang once, then stopped. I stood. A uniform had been laid across the counter. My size. Pressed. Folded napkin in the pocket. J. Kane, Guest services. I put it on. I don't know why, but when I did, the lights brightened. Music started playing soft piano, the kind you don't notice until it stops. The elevator dinged. Doors open. No one inside, but a room service cart waited in front of it. 2 plates, one covered, one empty. I wheeled it in, pressed the button for the 9th floor. No motion, no sound. When the doors opened, the hallway was lit like sunrise. Room 908 waited at the end. I knocked. Once, twice, 3 times. A man opened the door, confused, tired, like I'd looked once. He stared at the tray, then at me. "Who ordered this?" he asked. I smiled. "You did. You just forgot." He backed up, hesitated, let me in. The table was already set. I placed the tray down, poured the wine, straightened the napkin. He watched in silence. "Who are you?" he asked. I didn't answer, not out loud, but when I caught my reflection in the window, I saw her, standing behind me, smiling. "He's ready," I said. The lights dimmed, the air went warm, and in my head the hotel whispered, "You've been such a loyal guest. Now, serve." I don't remember how long I've been here, but the bell never stops ringing. New guests arrive every night, and I smile, hand them their keys, tell them the same thing. Room service will arrive at 2. 6 a.m. Please be awake. And always there are 2 place settings.